most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You have heard a long and complex case, gentlemen, and it is now your duty to sit down to try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare him not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen.
He doesn't stand a chance.
Gum? Gum? Gum?
Thank you, but no.
You know something?
I know lots of things. I'm in advertising.
It's hot.
I wouldn't have known that being a said you. Suppose I haven't got all I've done all day. Sweat.
Yeah, don't you want to sweat like that kid who was trying.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you'd think they'd at least air condition the place. I almost dropped dead in court.
My taxes are high enough.
It should be fast anyway.
Yes, it is hot.
All right, gentlemen. Everybody's here. If you need anything, I'll be sitting right outside the door. Just knock.
Did he lock that door?
Yes, he did.
What do they think we are, crooks?
So they lock us up for a little while.
And then they lock that kid up forever. That's okay by me.
I never knew they did that. Sure they locked the door. What do you think?
I don't know. Never occurred to me before.
Show me all the fish right now that it is hot and humid, and our tempers are short.
It's been a pretty hard week.
I feel just fine.
I wonder what's going down at the office. In advertising, after 6 days, my job could be gone. My whole company, too. I'm not going to like this.
Yeah, well, you figure this is our duty.
I don't object to doing my duty. I just mentioned that I may not have a job by the time I get back.
Hey, ask him to hire you. He's rich. Look at the suit.
Is that custom tailored?
Yes, it is.
I got an uncle who's a tailor.
How does he?
Yeah, not so good. You know, a friend of his, that is a friend of my uncle, the tailor, he wanted to be on this jury at my place.
Why didn't you let him? I'd have done anything to miss this.
And get caught. You know what kind of fine you can pay for a thing like that. Anyway, this friend of my uncle's, he was on a jury once, about 10 years ago. Case just like this one.
So what happened?
They let him off. Reasonable doubt. And you know, about 8 years later, they found out he'd actually done it. Guilty man, murderer, let loose right on the streets.
Did you get him?
They couldn't.
Why not?
A man can't be held in double jeopardy. Unless it's a hung jury, a man can't be tried twice for the same crime.
Yeah, that isn't going to happen here.
6 days. They should have finished it in 2. Talk, talk, talk. You ever hear so much talk about nothing?
I guess they're entitled.
Everybody gets a fair trial. That's the system. Suppose you can't say anything against it, huh?
Hey, how did you like that business about the knife? Did you ever hear a phonier story?
Well, you gotta expect that. What are you dealing with?
He bought a knife the night of the murder.
Yeah, and then he lost it.
A hole in his pocket.
His father.
Awful way to kill your father. Knife in the chest.
Now look at the kind of people they are. You know that.
Hey, what's the matter? You got a cold?
Oh my God, flu. These summer colds will kill you.
I had one last year while I was on vacation, too.
All right, let's take
right? This better be fast. I got tickets to the ball game tonight. I must be the only guy in the world that hasn't seen the Giants this year. All right, Your Honor. Let's start the show.
Hey, how about sitting down? Gentleman at the window. How about sitting down?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's hard to figure, isn't it? Can't build his father, bang just like that. Well, let's see, Ellen. You let those kids run wild out there. Maybe it serves them right. There are better proofs than some emotion you might have. Perhaps a dislike to some group.
We all agreed it was hot.
And that our tempers will get short.
Now, that's if we disagree. But this is open and shut. Let's get it done.
Well, all right. Now, you gentlemen can do this any way you want. I mean, I'm not going to make any rules here. We can discuss the case first and then take a vote. That's one way of doing it. Or we can take a vote now and see where everybody stands.
Hey, let's vote now. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home.
Yeah, let's see who's where.
Right. Let's vote now.
Yes, let us vote.
All right, anybody who doesn't want to vote?
Now, that was easy.
Okay. All those voting guilty, raise your hands. 8, 9, 10, 11. 11, okay, not guilty.
Hey, you're in left field.
Ooh, okay, 11 to 1. 11 guilty, 1 not guilty. Now we know where we stand.
You really believe he's not guilty?
I don't know.
After 6 days, he doesn't know.
6 days. I can learn calculus. This is ABC.
I don't believe it is as simple as ABC.
I never saw a guiltier man in my life.
What does a guilty man look like? He's not guilty until we say he's guilty. Are we to vote on his face?
Well, you sat right in court and heard the same things I did. The man's a dangerous killer, and you could see it.
Where do you look to see if a man is a killer?
Wow.
I want to know. What are the facial characteristics of a killer? Maybe you know something I don't know.
Look, what is there about the case that makes you think the boy is innocent?
He's 19 years old.
Oh, that's old enough. He knifed his own father, 4 inches into the chest. Innocent little 19-year-old kid.
I agree with you that the kid is guilty, but I think we should avoid emotionally colored arguments.
All right. I proved it a dozen different ways. You want me to list them?
No.
Do you believe that stupid story you told? No. Do you believe it?
I don't know if I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what'd you vote not guilty for?
Well, there were already 11 votes for guilty. It wasn't so easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
Well, who says it was easy for me?
Or
No one.
Hey, he's still just as guilty, whether it's an easy vote or a hard vote.
Is there something wrong because I voted fast?
Not necessarily.
I think the guy's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if you talked for 100 years.
I don't want to change your mind.
Just what are you thinking of?
I just want to talk about it for a while. Look, the kid's been kicked around his whole life. You know, living in the slums. His mother dead since he was 9 years old. It's not a very good head start. He's a tough, angry kid. You know how slum kids get that way? Because we knock them over the head once a day, every day. I think we just owe them a few words, that's all.
all right, it's hard. Sure. It was hard for me. Everything I thought I fought for. I worked my way through college. That was a long time ago. Perhaps you do forget. I fought, yes, but I never killed.
Yeah, I know what it's like. I never killed nobody.
Wait, I done kicked him out too. Wait, do you work in an ad agency? When the big boy that buys the advertising walks in. Oh, we all know.
In my country, in Europe, kicking was a science. But let's try to find something better than that, huh? Yeah.
Listen, mister, we don't know this kid a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? What do you think this trial cost? He's lucky he got it. Now look, we're all grown-ups here. You're not going to tell us that we're supposed to believe this kid, knowing what he is? Look, I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say, you know that.
I don't know that. What a terrible thing for a man to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group characteristic? You don't have a monopoly on the truth.
All right, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon.
What this man says is dangerous.
I don't see any need for arguing like this. I think we ought to be able to behave like gentlemen.
Right.
All right, if you insist.
Thank you. Sure. If we're going to discuss this case, why, let's discuss the facts.
I think that's a good point. We got a job to do, let's do it.
If you gentlemen don't mind, I'm going to close the window. It was blowing on my neck.
If you don't mind, I'd like the window open.
But it was blowing on me.
Don't you want a little air? It's summer. It's hot.
It was very uncomfortable.
There's 12 of us in this room. It's the only window, if you don't mind.
I have some rights too.
So do the rest of us.
Couldn't you trade chairs with someone on the other side of the table?
All right, I'll open the window if someone will trade with me. Take my chair. Thank you.
Can we get back to the case?
Yes, let's.
Well,
Let me have an idea here. I'm thinking out loud, but it seems to me that we have to convince this gentleman that we're right and he's wrong. Maybe if we each talked about it for a minute or two, you know, try it on for size.
that sounds fair.
Very fair.
All right, so suppose we go once around the table. Start with you.
Well, I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious.
In what way was it obvious?
I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Well, nobody has to prove otherwise. Innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment. You've heard of it.
Everyone has.
Sure, I've heard of it. I know what it is. What I meant, well, I just think he's guilty.
No reason, just guilty. The man's life is at stake here.
Okay, let's get to the facts. Number one, let's take the old man who lived on the second floor, right underneath the room where the murder took place. Now, at 10 minutes after 12 on the night of the killing, he heard loud noises coming from the apartment upstairs. He said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the kid say to his father, "I'm going to kill you." A second later, he heard the father's body falling, and he ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, and saw the kid running downstairs and out of the house. Then he called the police, and they found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner put the time of death at about midnight.
Right. Now, what else do you want?
Something doesn't fit.
The boy's entire story is flimsy. He claimed he went to the movies. That's a bit ridiculous, isn't it? He couldn't even remember what picture he saw.
That's right. Did you hear that? You're absolutely right.
He didn't even have a ticket stub.
Who keeps a ticket stub for the movies? That's true enough.
I suppose, but the cashier didn't even remember
And
it.
the ticket taker didn't either.
What about the woman across the street? Her testimony don't prove it, nothing does.
That's right. She saw the killing, didn't she?
Hey, let's go in order here.
Just a minute. Now here's a woman, she's lying in bed at night. It's hot, you know, she can't sleep. Anyway, she wakes up, she looks out the window, across the way, she sees the kid stick the knife into his father.
Well, how can she be sure it was the kid when she saw it through the windows of a passing elevated train?
Well, she's known the kid all his life, and her window is directly opposite the L tracks from his. And she swore she saw him do it.
Well, I heard her swear to it.
Okay. And they proved that at night you could look through the windows of a passing L train and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
Weren't you just telling us a moment or two ago that you can't trust them, you can't believe them?
So,
Let me ask you this. Why do you believe her? She's one of them, too, isn't she?
you're a pretty smart fellow, aren't you?
Hey, take it easy.
Come on, man. Sit down. What are you letting him get you all upset for there? Relax.
Gentlemen, they did take us out to the woman's room. We looked through the windows of the passing L train, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And weren't you able to see what was on the other side?
Well, not as well as they said I could see it, but I did see what happened on the other side.
You see. Do you see?
Let's calm down now. It's your turn.
I'll pass it.
That's your privilege. How about you?
started to be convinced, just with all the testimony from those people across the hall. I think they said something about a fight between the father and the boy. I believe they said something like 7 o'clock. I can be wrong.
I believe it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock.
They heard the father hit the boy twice and saw the kid walk angrily out of the room.
That's right.
What does that prove?
Well, it doesn't prove anything exactly. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Anything else?
No.
I don't know. Most of it's been said already. We could talk all day about this thing, but I think we're wasting our time.
Well, I don't.
Neither do I. Go on.
Look at the kid's record. He stole a car. He was picked up for mugging. At 15, he was in reform school. This is a very fine boy.
They sent him to reform school for stabbing someone.
There you go.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him. He used his fists.
So what did I on a kid like that?
You're right. It's the kids, the way they are, you know? They don't listen. I get a kid. When he was 8 years old, he ran away from a fight. I saw him. I was so ashamed. I told him right out, I am going to make a man out of you. I'm going to bust you up into little pieces trying. When he was 15, he hit me in the face. He's big, you know? I haven't seen him in 3 years. Kid, I hate tough kids. You work your heart out. All right, hey, let's get on with it, huh?
We're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's a product of a filthy neighborhood in a broken home. We can't help that. We're not here to go into the reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals. They are. I know it, so do you. The children who come out of slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
So you can say that again.
I've been in a slum all my life.
Wait a minute.
I used to grow up in a backyard that was full of garbage. And he still smells like it.
Now, let's be reasonable here. There's nothing personal.
There is something personal.
Come on now, hitting you fella. Let's not be so sensitive, huh?
Oh, who did he mean?
I can understand this sensitivity.
All right, let's stop with the bickering.
We're wasting time.
It's your turn.
All right. I had a peculiar feeling about this trial from the beginning. I had a strange feeling that the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough cross-examination. Too many questions were never asked.
While it doesn't change my opinion of the guilt of the kid, still I agree with you. The defense counsel wasn't.
So,
This is a point.
what about facts?
There was too many questions unanswered.
What about the questions that were answered? For instance, let's talk about that cute little switch knife. You know, the one that fine, upright kid admitted buying.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's get it in here and have a look at it. I'd like to see it again, Mr. Foreman.
We all know what it looks like. I don't see why we have to look at it again. What do you think?
The gentleman has the right to see exhibits and evidence.
All right with me.
This knife, it's a pretty strong piece of evidence, wouldn't you agree?
I would.
Now, let's get the sequence of events right as they pertain to the switch knife.
Boy admits to leaving his house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punched.
Or punched. He went to a neighborhood store and bought a switch knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day when he admitted selling it to the boy.
I think we all agree it's an unusual knife. It's pretty hard to forget something like that.
The storekeeper identified the knife and said it was the only one of its kind he had in stock. Why did the boy get it?
As a present for a friend of his, he says.
Next, the boy claims that on the way home it must have slipped through a hole in his coat pocket. Then he never saw it again. Now there's a story, gentlemen. You know what actually happened? He took the knife home and a few hours later stabbed his father with it, and even remembered to wipe away the fingerprints. Everyone connected with the case identified this knife. Are you trying to tell me that someone picked it up off the street and took it to the boy's home and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No, I'm saying it's possible that the boy lost the knife, and it's killed the father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Take a look at that knife. It's a very strange knife. I've never seen one like it in my life. Neither had the storekeeper who sold it to me.